In the shadow corners of our world, a discovery was made that would shatter reality itself. This is the story of active matter, a universe where physics bends, timelines collide, and death is merely a reset. From the hidden Cold War labs to a fractured multiverse, we'll trace how one volatile substance doomed the planet, birthed monstrous horrors, and spawned rival organisations locked in an eternal war. Drawing this from official sources, in-game clues and survivor accounts, this is the chronicle of how reality unravelled. It all began with curiosity, but it ended in apocalypse. Our tale unfolds in the shadows of the late Cold War, around 1970 to 1980, in a baseline timeline much like our own Earth, a planet on the brink of nuclear tension, where the superpowers raced for any edge. Secret Soviet laboratories on a remote island, later whispered as the Dalniy Island, began probing a bizarre new phenomenon. Hidden within rusty Soviet-era industrial complexes, these cryptic science labs were among the first to encounter what would be dubbed active matter. Researchers observed this exotic material, defied known physics, warping gravity and space in its vicinity. Initial lab reports describe small quantum anomalies flickering in the containment chambers, reality itself bending under mysterious forces. As the experiments progressed into the early 1990s, the twilight of the Soviet era, scientists unveiled more properties. Active matter could distort space and time on a local scale. Objects exposed to it sometimes vanished or would reappear inexplicably. Early tests led to quantum instability in the lab. Gravity fluctuated, rooms looped into themselves, and time behaved erratically. Surprised but fascinated, the researchers named the substance for its active manipulation of matter's fundamental laws. It became the holy grail of fringe physics, a potential energy source and weapon. Some community theories speculated that a covert Soviet experiment, perhaps a collider test or a nuclear test, accidentally created the first sample of active matter. Though no canonical source confirms the exact origin, what we do know is that the war and the industrial ruins suggest it was weaponized or exploited amid the Cold War conflicts, with authentic military gear from this era still appearing in zones today. This marked the pre-fracture era, a time when human curiosity clashed with incomprehensible forces, setting the stage for the planet's unravelling. By the mid to late 1990s, the end of the 20th century, ambition turned to catastrophe. The Dalniy Island incident, an accident in a Soviet facility, often cited as the first major quantum unstable zone event. In a pivotal experiment, the containment field failed. Active matter reacted uncontrollably. A localized reality collapse ensued. The lab and the surrounding area tore free from normal space-time. Survivors described the site as out of space and out of time, cut off by a shimmering boundary. This anomalous zone marked the earliest known active matter outbreak. Within this bubble, physics broke. Gravity shifted and loops formed, and it eventually ceased to exist temporarily, before reappearing in cycles. It's widely speculated amongst knowers of the disaster that it was triggered by a prototype portal device, a so-called monolith gate that backfired. However, there is no official confirmation that this was the exact trigger. Soviet authorities quarantined the island in a frantic cover-up. Cryptic notes from these labs later found by explorers read like reports, detailed logs of eerie objects with bizarre effects. One file mentioned a doorway that reappeared in different rooms, another an ethereal being stalking the flooded hulls. The scientists attempted to contain or document these anomalies with 20th century means. means. Ultimately, the site was abandoned. Rust and ruin overtook the labs as the zone persisted. Hints about this era surviving the environment. Operators exploring Dalniy's derelict labs find old warning signs, dated instruments, and clues to the active matter origin. This incident was a cataclysmic fracture, the spark that began destabilizing the planet's reality on a grand scale, pulling the world into chaos. Over the ensuing decades into the 21st century, think 2000s onward, the active matter phenomenon spread beyond one island. It infected the planet like a cosmic plague. Global quantum instability, isolated incidents, a lab accident here, a mysterious meteorite there, introduced active matter worldwide. Each spawned a quantum unstable zone, pockets where timelines overlapped and physics ran wild. What began as a secret Soviet research became a shadowed crisis, dooming cities and nations as it frayed reality. At a tipping point, barriers between timelines shattered. Active matter ripped through the fabric of space-time, linking parallel worlds. Reports of random displacements, for example a World War II era tank materialized in one of the modern cities. Futuristic gadgets were reported in ancient ruins. Zones pulled in artifacts from alternate timelines, creating a jumbled mosaic of eras. One zone might feature dinosaurs on the 21st century battlefield, another high-tech medieval villages. There are some tales that are exaggerated, but the merging of realities was clear. Scientists confirmed countless universes now connected through these zones, birthing the fractured multiverse. With chaos, anomalies all multiplied, gravity-defying areas created, local time loops, spatial distortions, all straight out of sci-fi lore. From harmless oddities like reverse time music boxes to deadly threats like the invisible predators of reality warping shapes. Field teams went through and catalogued all these, founding anomaly units. The planet transformed, its once stable continents now riddled with rifts. Societies began collapsing under the weight of the unknown. Humanity grappled with this new, chaotic normal, dragging a dark paranormal underbelly out into the open, as the world we knew began to slip away into a multiverse of madness. As the planet descended into an anomaly-riddled ruin, survivors rose to fight back, and from this desperation, the agency was born. Formed in the mid-21st century around 2020 to 2030 by surviving governments, scientific elites and visionary leaders, this international coalition emerged as a central authority in the battle against active matter spread. It united fragmented nations and rogue experts, pooling resources to confront the existential threat that no single entity could face alone. The agency became the lifeline for a new breed of warriors, operatives, hardened soldiers, desperate scientists, opportunist explorers, and fortune seekers, recruited and armed to venture into the zones. Early missions were just suicide runs. Many never returned at first. Then a horrifying revelation emerged. Operatives didn't stay dead. Killed by an anomaly or rival, they reappeared alive, rewound to a prior moment. Each was stuck in a time loop, always brought back to the same point. Confusion reigned. Were they clones? Was time reversing? It was active matter exposure, quantum anchoring of their essence. Upon death, consciousness resets, retaining memories of the horror. A curse akin to Cepheus, but one that whispered of immortality if harnessed correctly. Nearly every agent experienced this rebirth, turning death into a mere inconvenience amid the planet's downfall. The existential toll was devastating. Agents shattered after endless loops, questioning their humanity as the world crumbled. Some grew fearless, reckless in their defiance. A few went mad, losing their mind and humanity to become deranged roamers haunting the zones. These were the first AM transformed humans, feral husks, hostile shadows of the former selves, a grim reminder that the loop granted life but eroded sanity, as operatives fought not just for survival but to preserve their souls against the substance insidious creep. Key to the operatives' endurance, the agency established secure bases known as shelters, fortified havens where agents could regroup, train and prepare for raids. These outposts served as hubs for research and innovation, where the scientists laboured to uncover active active matter's secrets and turn its power against itself. They harness substance for groundbreaking technologies, multiversal travel to navigate the rifts, consciousness transfer to enable loop resets, and item replication to arm operatives with gear from lost timelines. They perfected the monolith gates, which were the massive portals for precise zone insertion, and controlled respawns, ensuring operatives could return from death with their memories intact. The replicator became a cornerstone, reconstructing weapons using chronogenes and chronotraces from alternate worlds, expanding arsenals with vintage rifles to futuristic prototypes, reflecting war's eternal presence. Further innovations bolstered the operatives. The re-teleportation beacon, for example, granted an extra life in the same timeline, while a safe container shunted loot back to the base upon death. There was also an AI companion created, Miss Second. She provided real-time intelligence and tactical guidance, her wry commentary with a spark of humanity. The agency's motto, "Through rebirth, we will find immortality," encapsulated their mission, positioning them as the operatives' indispensable backbone, not just a faction, but the structured force that equipped, revived, and directed these warriors in their unending battle to reclaim the planet from oblivion. As active matter spreads, it alters biology. Flora and fauna mutate into aggressive, transformed creatures, grotesque hybrids, walls of metal, giant insects under warped physics, ethereal flickering, abilities like camouflage, teleportation, psionics, primary threats and missions, infamous squads stalked by mimic. Humans mutate too. Besides the mad operatives, exposed civilians can become husks or zombies, deformed, aggressive. Ghostly memories, echoes, screaming for loved ones while attacking. Reports describe failed subjects in basement. Logs, radio static from lost researchers imply some remember fragments. Bosses like mimics are former operatives maybe, scientists overexposed using human tactics, voice mimicry, etc. As active matter becomes more valuable, dangerous power-hungry factions rise. Syndicates that are paramilitary rogue units, cartels, cults exploiting it. Some splinter from the agency or from nations for profit or even ideology. They maintain bases, labs, armories, they're all self-sufficient forces. The agency is the largest, obviously. It aims to try and stabilise reality. The collective is ex-scientists worshipping AM. They spread it instability for evolution. You've also got the mercenary syndicate, which are a profit-driven harvest for black market, and there's also whispers of a rogue AI faction. They clash in the zones over passive AM sources, rich deposits. Control means income and influence. AM control equals multiverse fate. Firefights, multiverse wars, rivals, deadliest threat. Now in the near 2020s to 2030s, a bizarre equilibrium. Zones appear and collapse regularly. Operatives cycle, die, resurrect, deploy. Veterans fight decades without aging. Society is shaken. Everyday life continues, but edges towards instability. The government accepts optional death for the AM touched, changing strategies and philosophies. There's an undercurrent of futility where battles can't be won if the dead return. But there's hopes of escape. Agencies and allies run extractions, they retrieve AM, they rescue, they explore variants. There's also recent ops looking into new Dalniys for variants, hinting at thousands of uncharted worlds. There's also weapons and tech that flow into our universe. All strive to break the cycle, control the AM. Agency are gathering for a way out. The rivals are extending for godhood, weaponizing. There's no balance, there's endless raids, it's tragic, there's immortal. They're enslaving stuff for the conflicts until they can tip the scales in their favour. The question here now is, where does AM come from? Are they alien spores? Are they man-made? The loop mechanism. Consciousness slides to alternates via the monolith. Or is it just a local reset? Is Miss Second self-aware? Is she an AM fragment? Or is she an uploaded operative? What is the true ending? Does antimatter neutralise? Or can it escape to a higher plane? This is what we need to find out. Active matter is a war for substance that bends reality. It's a raid collapsing pocket world stolen from broken timelines that we're still learning about. You're part of it now, and we'll be part of it together. So let's find out more about what active matter is and where this is going to go. Stay tuned for the next War video. Thanks for listening. TJ out. Bye.